Okay, so I don't normally just go around reacting to videos, but I've seen this one and I've watched a bit of it, admittedly, and then I've seen someone else react to it, and I still only watched about half of it. And whilst my reaction to this is not any hate towards the original content creator, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's just I've listened to this and I strongly disagree. So if you watch this, please don't go commenting negatively against this person, don't go hating. It's just I'm watching this and I'm seeing the opposite perspective of what so many people want to see, and this opinion's been put forward in a way that makes that sound like common sense and that sound like what should happen. Now, I'm going to play and I'm going to give my opinion where I think it can fit in. As I say, I've not watched all of it, so there might be a point where I go a bit quieter, where I'm listening more to what's being said. But yeah, I'm just going to play this. I'll be linking the original video down in the comments, in the description, sorry.
You're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Gears of War E-Day is pretty much right around the corner. I think, like, what, a month or less than a month? There's going to be an Xbox showcase that officially shows off Gears of War E-Day. And I'll be real, I really hope it's not just going to be a bunch of trailers. Like, I don't care what they showcase. They can showcase multiplayer, they can showcase the campaign. I don't care.
I agree. In terms of the game advertising, I've seen trailers, they look cool, but we need to see what the game is now. We need to know, is this something to be interested in, or is it just something way different from what we ever wanted? Also, to point out this video, it caught my attention initially because it was along the lines of how the community will potentially ruin the game. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. I just think that this person's opinion is the mirror opposite to the people I think ruin the game. But yeah, we'll carry on with the video. But yeah, I agree with this point. I would like to see some more gameplay now, not just trailers, because trailers can always look cool. The game, it's always a different matter in it.
I just think me, myself, and a lot of you guys want to see gameplay. We want to see what the game actually looks like and see what the developers have been cooking up for all these years. But leading up to E-Day, I gotta be real. I think the biggest thing that is going to be holding back the success of Gears of War E-Day's multiplayer, not only is just the fact that, Gears at this point in time in its lifespan is kind of niche. I'm going to be real with you guys. The campaign is always popping, but multiplayer isn't as popular as it used to be. But again, I might get a lot of backlash for this one, but I genuinely believe in this. And you guys can, of course, leave your opinions down in the comment section of this video. I think the community is going to be the biggest factor to why.
Right, I'm going to pause now. You are 1 trillion% correct. And bigger numbers. 1 quadrillion% correct. The community will be the issue. The same as the community were the issue on Gears 4, the same as they were the issue on Gears 5. They play in such a way that it takes all of the enjoyment out of the game for good players, people who have put time and effort into improving at the game. They play in such a way which makes winning the priority over having fun. That, for any video game in a non competitive scene, by competitive, I do not mean ranked. Ranked is just matchmaking, it's just people taking it way too seriously. Competitive is any LAN event or esports or something along those lines. If you are playing public, don't take it so seriously. If you are taking public so seriously that winning means more than having fun, you are ruining the game. So, in that sense, if people are doing that, they are going to be the downfall of the game. We've seen it before. Are we going to see it again? Who knows? So, based on what this person said so far, he is right. But let's listen.
Gears of War E-Day multiplayer is going to struggle to gain any type of success. I actually saw this clip by Panic Gore over on Reddit saying 29-9, but I lost. Now, I'm not going to showcase the clip itself, but of course, as I always do, I'll leave a link to the post down in the description of this video, and I highly encourage you guys to check it out just so you can see what I'm talking about here. But in this clip, it's not really anything bad. It's just showcasing an individual actually taking advantage of everything in the game.
Taking advantage? Okay, sure. Things are in the game to be used. Of course they are. Why? Why are they in the game? They need to be in the game. Could it be that those weapons are campaign related? Because obviously we've got the robots, they need their own weapons. And then related to Horde, they're in Horde. Now, obviously, they're in multiplayer to be used as well. I'm not trying to wriggle out of that. Of course, they're there to be used. But if that's your primary weapon, why are you using that? Is it because you don't know how to use something else, or just because it's so much more effective than the alternatives? I don't know. Let's carry on.
All the weapons that are, offered to them, and, nothing wrong with that, right? But, my goodness, just for doing such a thing, this person is getting absolutely bashed. I mean, a comment right here. Paused as soon as I saw Terminator and Enforcer.
Terminator, I don't think it belongs in Gears. I'm really not bothered though. Enforcer, let me ask you this. If you were to be playing Halo and someone had nothing but Spartan laser and rocket launcher, is that fun for everyone else? Hmm, I don't know. Maybe it's somewhat compatible because you don't spawn with those weapons, do you? For the Enforcer, I don't know. Maybe that could cause a little bit more of a problem.
Now leaving. Another one.
Why? Wait, stop. Let's rewind. Hang on.
Now leaving.
Why is that funny? That's a player saying that they are leaving because of how another person is playing the game. Why is that funny? That is what you're saying in the exact video, that the community will ruin it. What ruins a game is when people stop playing it. And this person has said here that they are leaving because of how another person is playing the game.
This
Let's listen
person
again.
is getting absolutely bashed. I mean, a comment right here. Paused as soon as I saw Terminator and Enforcer. Now leaving.
Why is that funny?
Another one. This is everything that's wrong with Gears. I feel.
Let's have a read. This cannot be a fun way to play. Now, I'm never going to judge. Well, no, that's not true. I have judged. But I can't decide what another person finds fun and what they don't, obviously. But I find it difficult to understand how people can find enjoyment from playing that way. But that's by the by. But look at how it impacts other players. That is just so frustrating. And you can see here that there's a recognition. I've not seen the clip or whatever's been posted. I'm just seeing what other people are saying about it. Utter dismay for the Nasher. Why is it that all these people go on about how there's variety in the game to use all the weapons, but the one weapon they never use, literally never use, is a Nasher? Why is that? Is that because it actually takes some form of skill to use? Just saying.
Some sense of hope from the Gears gods that they didn't allow you to win that free-for-all match. The Terminator skin, the utter dismay for the Nasher, and foul abuse of the Enforcer is diabolical. This could not be a fun way to play. Now, I will say I partially agree with the Terminator skin, although it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to bash this guy for running the Terminator skin. But in the Gears of War world, I'd prefer not to see a,
Yeah, I agree with you, but of all the things that were pointed out there, that's the part you agree with. Wow.
Terminator skin charging around. But when it comes down to simply the gameplay, this person's getting bashed. Now, thankfully, there are, a handful of people out there who are, leaving positive comments and.
Thankfully, there's a handful of people leaving positive comments, reinforcing somebody playing in a way that removes the enjoyment for the players. That's a good thing that we should be happy about, is it? Okay.
Talking back against some of these topics. But that does nothing. I'm sorry to say, that does absolutely nothing. Just
good. It shouldn't. They should always get talked down because those people have spent years obliterating the game. So people are so fed up with them that they do get talked down. So good. That does nothing. I'm glad.
Because you see a handful of people saying, why are you guys so pissed off about this?
Why are we so pissed off about it? Because the last good Gears of War game for many of us was Gears of War 3, that released in 2011. We are now in 2026, and every single time a new Gears of War game gets released, A bunch of players play in such a way that it destroys the fun for all the other players who have been looking forward to it for so long. We are tired of it, and we would prefer it if those players would either just stick to a PvE mode or not play, because clearly they are not interested in learning how PvP has always been played, and the gentleman's agreement, as I understand you say later in the game, that was in place because it was fun for everybody. These players have no interest in playing in a way of having respect for people. They are not interested. They probably don't even know it's a thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it that a brand new player might not know that. I completely get it. But you often come across people like this in ranked situations, and they just do not care about the fun of others. They will abuse anything to win. And now that's moving away from casual, and I get that. But the fact that those options are there to use is a problem. And the fact that players deliberately choose to use them because they know it's there to be abused is the bigger problem. So coming back to when you say the community could be what destroys E-Day, I agree. If there are options there to abuse and people are going to do that, then they will be the people who destroy E-Day.
Shouldn't be an issue. You'll see that in the comment section. You'll think, okay, maybe Gears of War is healing, but it's not. This has been the
Gears of War's not healing. Gears of War's been on the decline for so long. What do you mean? Gears of War used to be one of the most popular games I knew. It was never as big as COD, don't get me wrong. But in terms of Xbox titles and being well respected, it was fantastic. Now, it's a meme. How is Gears healing? All it has been is 10 years of lancering and camping. Of course it's not healing, it's got worse.
literal mentality of Gears for as long as I can personally remember. And I've been playing Gears for a long time, since Gears of War 1. And the Nasher mentality has always been very dominant. Now, don't
Good.
get me wrong. I have nothing wrong with people who only want to use a Nasher and wall bounce around, close gaps, and, get up in players' faces. It's
Right, stop. No one is saying that it should only be Nasher. No one says that, and that is such a twist on what people actually say. What people say is that it shouldn't be only lancering. Such a difference. I would love to run around with my Nasher for when I get into a CQC situation. Sure, I'll pull out my snub or a lancer to get a little angle on someone for maybe a second or two to help out a teammate. Sure, I'd like to go and get a power weapon like snipe and get angles and try and help my team. The problem is people will happily sit in the same spot for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6+ minutes just spraying because that is all they have the ability to do. Those are the people who have ruined the game and pushed so many people away. So please let's not jump on the bandwagon of everyone just wants to run around aimlessly with a Nasher. That's not what it is. Some people, sure, if they are just playing ultra casually, not paying any attention, they might just run around aimlessly with a Nasher if they're not even paying attention to the game. But that is not what most people are doing.
a playstyle. It works. It is what it is. It's a part of Gears. But every single time I see people get angry at others using any weapon in the game, any fully automatic weapon especially,
You think that's because it's so much easier? Now, you've talked there about how long you've been playing Gears, since Gears 1. Think about how long that's been. A lot of people have spent in excess of a decade practicing and improving their techniques on Gears. That has took a lot of effort. That should not be easily countered by someone who wants to do the ultimate gaming basic of hold LT and RT and do a simple camera adjustment. So yeah, that's annoying.
they get demolished. They get destroyed, talked down upon, teabagged, crapped on. All of the above. The list goes on and on and on.
So are you saying so when they're getting teabagged that they're not enjoying themselves? And can you potentially recognize that the reason that they are getting teabagged to make them not have a good time is because the way they were playing was resulting in the other people on the other team not having a very good time. So it was showing them sort of experience that they're outputting to others.
The Gears community hates that. And I'm guilty of this as well. You know, really early on, like I said, in the early days of Gears 2 and 3 is probably when I really, was deep diving into this mentality and the gameplay flow of wall bouncing. And, I was a part of the same problem. If you used a Lancer, if you used anything fully auto or semi auto besides like a sniper rifle or a Nasher, it's just like, you're a loser. You're a hard.
Right. I'll say again. No one dislikes people using, I'll say it again, using the weapon. People dislike people who only use those weapons. Massive distinction.
Horrible Gears player. But as, time has gone on and I have grew as a person, I notice how detrimental that is to the health of this franchise. It's just wild to think that literally, like, I would argue 85 to 90% of the weapons that are offered to you are like, G8. People have a gentleman's agreement to not use anything. And it's
Why do you think that is? I'm not even going to give my answer to that. Why do you think that might be?
like, why? Why not use the rest of the variety in the game? Why not allow players to enjoy different weapons that are offered to them, to enjoy, what the developers intentionally put into the experience?
Because some of the options put into the game are there specifically for brand new players who haven't got a clue what they're doing, and they are effective enough to either counter or beat the options which took a lot of skill, which means the players who are using those new options, they are not learning Gears of War. They are just learning the easiest option and sticking with it. They are never having anything to improve towards. And equally at the exact same time, they are frustrating people who have improved for all that time because they have something either equal or better. Now, you could argue that the same option is there for the experienced player to use as well. In which case, what does that achieve? You're both just using something easy, and neither of you are playing Gears in the way that Gears always has been. And I can guarantee to you, if Gears 1, 2, and 3 had options like the Enforcer or things like that, they would never have become popular. And now you could argue that Gears 3 had the Retro and the Hammerburst, which, don't get me wrong, they were horrendous options. But back then, the mindset of players was so different that it was incredibly rare in the grand scheme of things of overall players that you come across someone playing in that way. And if you did, the entire lobby would stop what they were doing and trap that person in a corner. So they left so they didn't ruin the lobby for everybody else. Whereas now, everyone joins in and just becomes part of the problem, which is why, again, the community is the reason why the games have failed.
And why is it every single time you do decide to use what the developers intentionally put into the game, you get dunked on? Like I said, and just talked down upon. I'm telling you, that is going to be detrimental to the health of Gears of War E-Day.
No, it's not. It's going to be the complete opposite. If we can move towards actually having something to learn and improve at, then people are going to have a reason to want to play the game and try and improve at it. Now, am I saying there's not going to be a skill learning curve? No, there's going to be a massive learning curve, and that is what the fun of the game should be. Look at games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. The fun of the game is literally improving at it and the satisfaction when you actually get better at it. When the game hands the win to you, there's nothing enjoyable about it. You play for a little bit, you're like, okay, that looked interesting. What next game's on Game Pass? And those players are then gone. But then the game has been made in a way for them. Who's interested in that? The new players have moved to something else because they weren't interested in Gears, not properly. And the players who do actually care about Gears, they're left with a complete mess.
This community needs to wake up and stop getting so just salty about these things and trying to gatekeep a specific playstyle in Gears.
Wow. Okay, I hadn't heard up to that point. It's a gatekeep. We haven't had a game in a state worth gatekeeping about 15 years. It's all been lancering. Wow, 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 wow.
And I'm telling you, for the majority of casuals out there, they don't just want to use one gun in one
I
game.
don't care what casuals want. Stop catering the game to casuals. Cater the game to people who actually care about the game, who put time into the game, who will stick with the game when a new game comes out on Game Pass, who have interest in wanting to learn and improve the game. I'm not interested what a casual wants to do for like 5 hours to then go and do something completely different. I'm not bothered. They should not be the people that the game is designed for. Should it be exclusive of them? No. It should obviously be there to aid them, maybe teach them how things are done, give them incentive to improve. But don't just hand them the win. I'm not interested what a casual player wants if it comes at the cost of what an experienced player wants.
Gun only. It's boring. There's a reason, again, I state this in a lot of my different videos, but there's a reason why so many people don't call the game Gears of War. They call it Nasher of War, because
Oh my god. No comment.
that's what it boils down to. Every single lobby you get into, not every, I shouldn't say that, not every single lobby. You still get games where people use a bit of variety, but
Lancer out. Lancer out. Oh, actually, I can see up here. Nope.
single lobby you get into, not every, I shouldn't say that, not every single lobby. You still get games where people use
3 out of the 4 on the team have a Lancer out. If this was me by now, I'd have the Nasher out because, yeah, that's how I'd play. But that's not how everyone's doing it, clearly. Lancer, 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 Nasher.
a bit of variety, but the majority of games always boils down to movement and using a Nasher, because again, that is just what the community has formed. And yeah, you can
Why have players done it? Let's listen again.
movement and using a
Sorry, let's go
Nasher,
further back.
because I call it Nasher of War, because that's what it boils down to. Every single lobby you get into, not every, I shouldn't say that, not every single lobby. You still get games where people use a bit of variety, but the majority of games always boils down to movement and using a Nasher.
Why? Could it be because, one, it's more fun than standing still camping? Two, could it be because people have practiced doing that and it feels rewarding to do?
Because again, that is just what the community has formed. And yeah, you can say ignore those other players and just play with what you want to play with. Who cares what people have to say? But seriously, it gets bad. Like in COD, there's a set meta, but you're not crapped on for using other things. You're actually crapped on for using the meta. In Battlefield, you don't get crapped on for using over half of the weapons in that game. In Halo, you don't get crapped on for using any of the pickups or any of the variety that's in your, in the catalog. In over half of the games I could possibly think of, you don't get dunked on for using a lot of the content in the game.
How long have people been practicing with one specific thing in those games? How instrumental to the game is it when someone uses something else? Now, you've got to keep in mind the weapons on Gears that are effective. Look at the Lancer for the example. You spawn with that. You don't have to go and pick it up. It's not like, oh, you have to run over and get a Spartan laser and then you're effective. You don't spawn with a Spartan laser. The Lancer, spawn with a Lancer, for example, that's essentially spawn with a power weapon at this point. And when the whole team doesn't move because they're using it, it's boring. And people stop playing because it makes the game boring. Comparing this to something like Call of Duty or Halo is just so different. I don't even know how to make the point towards this. I'll listen to what he says because I don't even know where he's going with this. I'm sorry.
There might be 1 to 2 cheesy things in the game that's annoying and obnoxious that won't get patched, that people will get.
It's not about something being cheesy that someone occasionally takes advantage of. It's a matter of people do it all game, every game. And it's boring to play against. Because, as I said before, these cheesy things, as you described them, they are at least as effective as the things that take skill to do. And people have spent so long practicing towards.
Get salty about, but that's around about it. You know, people don't usually talk down upon variety, but in Gears, they really, really do. That is, you know, if you get into Gears, you're going to feel it. You know, even if you try to ignore it, people always just frown upon it. And that is what this community has built. And it's been like this for years now. And I don't even know if it can be reversed. I feel like
I hope it continues. I hope it increases. I hope we push away people wanting to play in a way that ruins it for the majority. I hope, I hope, I hope.
it's been going on for so long that, you know, it's ingrained into everybody's minds. Even for the people who, you know, used to really enjoy Gears. Whenever people think of multiplayer for this game, they're instantly turned off.
Thinking of the old days of multiplayer, you tell me, was there anyone running around with an Enforcer? Think back to those Gears 2 games we were talking about earlier. Did you come across a 5-man who didn't move for 10 minutes or just lancering with angles? No, that didn't happen.
Instantly turned off. I'm telling you guys, I want Gears of War E-Day to be successful. I want it to be very successful. I know it's not going to be anything crazy, but I want to see it do better than at least Gears 5 would, you know, when it comes down to popularity.
Why was Gears 5 unpopular? Because it catered to brand new, unskilled players and punished good players. Wow, that is literally what was wrong with Gears 5. That is why it was unpopular. Oh, make blah, blah, blah. Me doing this reaction this time of night, it was such a bad idea. What am I doing?
And also support. I want to see the devs want to support this game for a decent amount of time and show it a lot of love.
The devs genuinely might support the game for as long as it's got as a player base. And that makes sense. But if the game is made in such a way that players can push other people away due to how they play, the player base won't be there for the devs to have any reason to support it anymore. Logic.
When it comes to updates, content drops, so on and so forth. I would love for Gears of War to get that type of support, but I'm telling you, wall bouncing is already a big enough turnoff for a lot of these players. That will already.
Oh dear. Wall bouncing is a big enough turn off for a lot of these players. You are playing a game right now that they can stay on and enjoy. This is a next-gen version of Gears of War without wall bounce. If they'd like to play that, then they have that exact opportunity to do so right this minute. But from what I understand, the popularity of that game isn't very high, which is unusual because that is the exact game that those people seem to have. But a question to that would be, why don't they just try and learn it? Because clearly you're saying that's such a massive part of the game that if they want to play Gears of War, why can't they learn the fundamental skills of Gears of War? Why do they refuse that? Wondering.
Make them just drop the game to begin with. But crapping on every person for using any type of weapon in the game, that mentality has to come to an end. This can't be Nasher of War anymore. The Nasher is very viable. It's a fun playstyle. I don't frown upon anybody for picking it up and playing that way. But you should not be demotivating people to use the rest of the catalog. And also, let me say this. What about the developers? Can you imagine being a developer on this game and trying to think of, you know, the next cool innovation you could do for Gears of War to, you know, make it fresh and interesting? Because that's what they need to do, ladies and gentlemen. They can't just copy and paste, you know, a Gears of War multiplayer, put it into E-Day and call it a day. You know, if we really want things to go good here, they have to make some changes every now and then. They got.
If you ask the vast majority of Gears players, the most popular Gears of War multiplayer was Gears 3. Then from there we had Judgment, which was full of changes, and most people disliked. Then you move towards Gears 4 and Gears 5, which had changes, and most people liked. Gears players, as you said before with Gears being such a niche game, Gears players like Gears because it's Gears. Don't want it changing. Every time you change it from its core fundamentals, it no longer feels like Gears unless people are interested in it. If people want variety, then maybe they should go and play Call of Duty or Halo or Battlefield, like the games you suggested before. But for Gears fans, we want it to be Gears. So I disagree. I personally, I'm speaking for myself, but I think quite a lot of people would agree. If we were to ever get a remaster, an exact true remaster of Gears of War 3, I think that would be the most popular Gears of War game that exists. It's not about adding new guns or different things, different bits of content for people to use. It's about providing the Gears of War experience that people have been longing for a decade and a half because it's not been there, not been available. Adding new things in, changing Gears from what Gears was and what made it successful, is not going to make it successful. Now, that's not to say it's going to be bad, but it's not going to be what people are asking for. And also, if you look at E-Day, that is going to be towards the origins of Gears of War. Why are we going to have a bunch of things in there that were never there in the future of the stories? What sort of things are they going to throw in? And I'm not really thinking of the devs, to be honest, because they have had so much feedback, amples of feedback, way too much feedback, all pointing in the clearest direction possible for what people want. So if they get it wrong, there is zero excuse. So no, I'm not thinking of the devs. It should be impossible at this point to get it wrong.
To innovate. They got to keep things fresh. And what's the fun in that when you know for a fact the community is just going to boil down to a Nasher? What's the fun of trying to create potential new modes, potential new weapons, and fun
What's the modes got to do with people using Asher?
things to play around with, maybe even potentially new mechanics? Why bother with any of that? If the community is going
I agree though. Why bother? Because people have been saying for so long what they want. Why bother doing something different? Why not just do what people have been asking for? I agree with that actually. Why bother? Why do that?
to literally cry and moan and crap on anybody for trying to take advantage of anything else that they have put into the game, because that's what's going to happen.
You know what? Like for so long I've been told I've been crying on stuff. And usually I was never actually bothered. I thought it was funny more than anything. But I'm watching this video and I admit I'm actually really frustrated listening to it. You can probably tell listening. Not because of this person. Like I don't know this person. I've got nothing against this person as an individual. This is their opinion. I just strongly disagree with it. But the reason this video has got to me is because I understand that there are people out there who genuinely view it in this way. And they have had 15 years of Gears No, that's not correct. When did Gears 4 come out? Was it 2017, 2018? No, was it 2016? Let's call it 10 years. Let's say a decade. They've had a decade of Gears of War catered to their exact play style. Varieties of weapons, loads of rifles. The Nasher just punished in every turn, whether it be Gears 4's no health regen while sliding or Gears 5 shot delay. Nasher players have been punished at every turn. Rifle players have had amples of like just unbelievable effectiveness and so many varieties to use. And still, both 4 and 5 flopped so quickly. And the reasons were always fed back so clearly. But there's still people here like this individual who believe that variety is what Gears needs, and without it, Gears will not work. No, I'm frustrated at this video because this is the mirror opposite to what we need. I'm going to carry on with this. I'm getting frustrated.
That's what's going to happen. Even though I'm making this video now, it's not going to make a difference. You think my tiny little channel is going to make a difference in the overall scheme of things when it comes?
Yes, if you were correct. When I first started giving feedback, I had essentially no following. But people caught on to what I was saying and supported what I was saying because they agreed with me, and what I was saying, I believe, was correct. And so many people agreeing with me heard what I said and amplified that because they supported what I was saying and they wanted the same outcome as what I wanted. So, yes, your channel size, quite frankly, your channel size is bigger than mine, so congratulations. But if what you're saying is correct and people resonate with it, that will get amplified, and yes, your voice will be heard. But I personally do not think the majority will agree with you. So if your opinions don't end up into fruition, I believe that's the reason why.
Down to Gears of War? Heck no. This has been going on for years now. Do you understand how complex it's
And
going
you
to
know
be to
what?
break this?
I will add to that, even though I disagree with you, I would encourage you to continue giving your feedback because you've gone about it in an actual civil, polite way. And yeah, I'm getting frustrated at you, and no, I'm not. I'm getting frustrated at your opinions, but I'm not getting frustrated at you. I like the fact you're giving your feedback properly and calmly and concisely. I just disagree with it. So yeah, I'd encourage you keep giving feedback, keep giving your thoughts because that's what the community has lacked. It always turns into arguments and mindless hate, and that's not what we've needed. That's not helped the game either. So fair play for how you put this video. I just strongly disagree with.
Mentality from the community after it's been ingrained into this community for ages. This video is not going to do anything, so I'm already expecting it out of E-Day, but I'm just trying to put this there so people think about it. Like I said, can you imagine the devs trying to put together a game, innovating, but knowing that that's what's going to...
Look at your shot. You're saying about how Nasher players, it's Nashers of War. Look what you just
Can you imagine
did.
the devs
It
trying to
doesn't
put together a
work.
game, innovating?
Imagine doing that and then you get lanced down by someone who has 100% effectiveness every single time. But your gun doesn't work. That's frustrating. Just throwing that out there. And that's not just a Gears 1 stroke UE stroke reloaded thing. Gears 4 was played with a meme of 83%. Gears 5, to be fair, I do think they improved the Nasher for Gears 5. Fair play. But Gears has had its definite moments of terrible Nasher play, and people are still stuck at it because it's more enjoyable to do than stand there lancering for both the person playing and the person they're playing against.
But knowing that that's what's going to boil down to. And can you imagine all the new players hopping on in, seeing all these new cool things, but every single time they try to play with something new or enjoy something different, they have a bunch of people in voice chat calling them out saying, what the heck, you're playing this game wrong, you're horrible, you're a really bad player, you suck, you need to get off Gears, that's not how you...
Maybe practice, practicing campaign, learn how the game works, practice in Horde if it has it, learn a bit more of how the game works. Then, you know what? When I first okay, a little story. When I first started playing Gears, it was Gears 2. And I got my Xbox for Christmas, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I went negative 2,000 kills playing Guardian and Wingman combined before I got my first kill. And it was a Lancer chainsaw kill, and I was made up with myself. And a KD of 1 to 2,000 obviously isn't that phenomenal, is it? But I was watching other people doing different things I didn't understand. And I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed what the game was meant to be. I just didn't know how to do it. Now, my choice was I could either carry on walking around chainsawing people and maybe getting one every couple of thousand deaths, or I could put the time and effort into actually seeing what the other people were doing, improving and doing what they were doing, and then becoming a better player myself. Or I could have just stood there, as I say, lancering. But if I'd stood there lancering, I probably wouldn't have played the game for very long because would have been quite boring.
You play Gears of War. Like, how are you going to tell someone that's using a fully automatic that they don't know how to play Gears? How are you going to talk down upon that when, like, it's so freaking weird.
Do you want to know something as well? Whilst I hold the opinion that I've shared, a lot of the frustration isn't actually directed at brand new players because usually a brand new player hasn't got a clue what's going on, which is the point that you're making. So even if they are using something very easy, they're usually quite easy to just get rid of. The problem is the experienced player. I'm not going to say good players because they're not. The problem is the experienced players abusing the easy options because that just makes them incredibly effective, which is the problem. Please let's not mix that up because saying that it's the brand new players that aren't having a good time because people are frustrated with them is actually quite misleading in my opinion because it makes you seem like a bad person for being frustrated at it when actually That's not necessarily reality the most of the time. I really don't think it.
We have to drop it when it comes down to E-Day. E-Day needs to be able to thrive, and it needs to be able to innovate and add new things that are fun and unique without having the community slapping it around all the time and forcing everybody to just run around with Nashers 24/7. If you want that to be the competitive scene, that's great. But even in the competitive scene, Lancers are viable. Crossing with the Lancer is very important. It helps, your Nasher players win more engagements. You're doing good damage. You're holding zone control and keeping enemies back. But for some reason, when you go
You're right. And that is the exact point. I agree with you entirely. In competitive, that is not just viable, that is expected of the player. But public isn't competitive. People are not playing or should not be playing to win at all costs in a publicly match-made lobby. That is the difference, and you've just said it there. You are right. It's for competitive.
into multiplayer, even for I see a lot of pros too saying the same thing. They go into multiplayer and they get mad about a Lancer because they're not playing competitively. But what does that mean? Like a casual might just be playing casually and they want to use a Lancer. Just because they're lancering doesn't mean they're trying to ultra sweat you out. No, they're just
Yes, it does. It actually does. So what's the reason you could be using a Lancer? One, you haven't got a clue what you're doing, and you're like me going 1 for 2,000. Two, you want to try and get some points in, but you're not actually good enough to go in and do it with a Nasher, so you want to get some assist points because this game gives you pity points. Or three, you just want to be irritating towards the opposing team by, as a team, getting angles and not letting the opposing team move, and you're just going to trickle their spawns away. They are the only reasons you do that in public. Whereas in competitive, the Lancers used for map control, pushing areas of the map and holding key locations. So different.
using what is being offered to them. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely curious what you guys are all thinking about the topic of today's video. So please go down in the comment section and let me know. Do you guys agree with me? And do you think that, we have to drop this overall mentality, start using more variety, and stop hating on people for using different guns that are offered to them? Or do you disagree? And do you think that this is what gear should be? It should be Nashers, close quarter engagements, and, when it comes down to the casual scene, if you use anything else, you should be frowned upon and talked down upon. Regardless, it's just opinions at the end of the day, so please, by all means, share them down below. But
okay, I am going to share this person's video in the video description. If you've watched it along, I'd like you to go support the video. Genuinely, give the video a like. He's clearly put his thoughts forward properly, non-hateful, so I respect that. Please do not go hating, because I know a lot of my viewers will disagree with what's been said. But he's asked for opinions. Maybe we can give something constructive. If you're just going to leave something hateful, just please don't bother. That's not what I want from my version of this video. I just wanted to watch this and record a reaction to it, which it sounds a bit cringe to say, but I just wanted to put my thoughts over it because I feel like this video is the video form of what I've been talking to on forums and social media for the best part of a decade. And hearing it put forward like this, I I don't know what more to say. I agree with his video title about the community potentially being the ones to ruin E-Day. But wow, we disagree on which part of the community. Again, respect to him for making the video calmly and politely. Just really disagree with you, man. Take care, everyone. See ya.